Hello, Roftwood. I'm Zombie GG with the Roftwood Coordination Center, proudly presenting you with another post-apocalyptic production I like to call an RCC Fireside Chat. This is the final part 4 of a discussion I had with my friend Bob Moncrief, a player whose commitment to and love for Urban Dead, both as a game and as a community, I have found absolutely nothing short of admirable. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show.
So one thing that I've learned a lot from actually playing as Danger Updater, as a character who doesn't interact with the world, right? Who just walks around. So many people, I've been shot outside as a zombie, as a low-level zombie sometimes, and I've been combat revived so many times, right?
Yep.
Despite if anyone clicks on, I've had people DNA extract me, right? So they can see my profile, which says, "Hi, this is a character that doesn't interact, please don't revive," and then they revive me. And I'm like, that was just a waste of your AP. People talk a lot about the tactics of combat reviving. It's not AP efficient.
No,
right?
That is banned in the RCC is combat reviving. It is.
I've seen it used strategically only for clearing a building, because it can take less AP to empty a building through needles than through guns.
Stellar has a hilarious story about the Scourge invading that Necrotech building outside Fort Creedy.
Yes, and we all got revived, and then we had no idea what to do.
Yeah, that was your X factor, you know?
We're all alive. What do we do now? Because to be most efficient, we would have other zombies in our group eat us if we end up combat revived.
Yeah, you get the XP
right?
and stuff.
Exactly. But because we were all alive, like everyone who was online was suddenly alive, we're like, do we jump from a building? What do we do? Right? That was such a hilarious moment. There have been so many funny moments like that.
Yeah, this game has offered so many crazy moments. That's why I guess I keep coming back, because it's just, the fun just keeps coming. It never ends. It's kind of built for perpetual warfare. And maybe the biggest thing is, I just like to see if I can keep this thing alive.
Yeah.
I just want to try to get everyone subscribed to, like, I guess the way I think the game should be played, which I think is the same way you think and a lot of other people do, where it's like we can entertain friendly rivalries and classy banter and, I don't know, share our like common interests and hobbies and different things. And
so Urban Dead as a game and Urban Dead as a community is sort of a fascinating space in many ways, and I think one of those things is that it's in this middle zone of size. So before playing Urban Dead, I was in other online communities, and some of them were smaller, and those tended to disappear because there wasn't a consistent enough player base or like base of membership in a community in order to keep it consistently alive. So at some point everyone would be off and then it would disappear. And on the other side, for example, I for a number of years played and tried to be active in a game called Nation States. Have you heard of this? It's a web-based game where you role play as countries. It's weird. Not real countries, like you make up countries.
Yeah, I think I dabbled in it a little bit with Marcus Camby, like way back when we were playing like Bio Nightmare and Urban Dead and Nation States a little bit.
And Nation States it's on the other end of the scale, right? It's very large and very impersonal and less interactive, right? And in that kind of realm, it's harder to feel like you're a part of something. Whereas I think Urban Dead is on this middle size where it feels like, oh, I'm a part of something. I'm having an impact on this city. I'm having an impact on this wiki, right? I'm doing something, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I do want to take a moment to commend you on having a podcast series like this and doing such a professional job of it. Because I've thought in the past that, like, hey...
This is so amateur, by the way, but I'm trying. Like,
oh, trust me, like, I'm really impressed. Because I've thought in the past, like, hey, this is a game in a community that I think could handle having a podcast, right, of this scope and this kind of scale, right? But no one's done that. No one's put in the effort. No one's really thought to until now. And, like... I feel validated that, like, yes, that was a good idea because it's gone so well, right?
I like to think so. I'm not, I don't think any of my videos have triple-digit views yet, but
That's okay.
it's mostly for me, man. I honestly have a lot of fun going back, just like when I'm shaving or in the morning or something, just like throwing one of my episodes on, just listening to that geeky little sound and stuff. But also, there's something about when people rehearse these stories or share these stories with me or whatever that are just like capturing the excitement in their voice and stuff, and I don't know, being able to share that weird experience. And I'm just such a fanboy for like role playing, especially in zombie apocalypse things, and really I feed off other people's passions too. Like I don't need to do the same things you do, but like the fact that you're all excited and hype about this gets me all excited and hype, and I don't know, I just like feed off it.
I totally get that.
So a lot of like it's kind of selfish, so that's kind of why I feel a little bit bad, because a lot of this is just for me.
That's a lot of what people make on the wiki, is things that are for them. So most people who write journals or write up building descriptions, right, you don't know how many people are going to ever read this or see it, but you're doing it for you. And I think that the podcast is a lot like that. You're doing it to make something that you want to exist, right?
Yeah. Have you ever seen any drama in the game or on the wiki? Like, what's the worst? Like, I feel pretty self-critical about my Courtly Truce incident. I've apologized. I've made amends.
Don't worry.
As a person.
Don't worry. That's like nothing compared to some of the things I'm doing.
Yeah, let's share some stuff.
I'm sure I could talk for hours and hours about drama that's occurred.
Less bad.
A lot of the things that have occurred on the wiki, for example, are very often people having difference of opinion about, for example, how best to run a wiki, how best to operate in a community, things like that. So here's an example that I think of as like a key example quite a lot. So there was a user who was permanently banned, and in order to be unbanned when you're permanently banned, it requires a vote, and there's a whole process to it. And this user, whose name is Izumi, had been banned since before my time, right? But there was a proposal to unban her. When was this? So this was in 2013, something like that. Yeah, 2013. So there was a proposal to unban this user. Now you would think that like in a regular community, people would vote yes or no, and then the person would be unbanned or not unbanned, right? But instead, there's literally thousands and thousands of words of people talking, arguing, drama, whatever you want to call it, but really it's just talking about not just should this user be banned or unbanned, but was the proposal for unbanning done properly? Was the person who nominated this person for unbanning allowed to? The person who was being unbanned had created a side account and was commenting on the process, and was that acceptable, right? All these little pieces people were hashing out, I think is the right phrase. People were hashing out.
Putting their emotions out there.
Exactly, their emotions and also their ideas of how best to run this kind of process in the future. So a lot of pieces of drama, right, what people think of as drama on the wiki, end up moving into discussion of how best to deal with this kind of situation in the future, right? So in the end, a lot of the discussion was around, okay, do we need to have firmer procedures around the unbanning process? What's allowed for people to create, and I believe a policy ended up being created around it, right? But a lot of the way that we think about, a lot of the way people interact with drama is as, oh, people are fighting with each other. But to me, I always think of it as, oh, people are trying to figure out how best to do things going forwards, right? Also, so a lot of the biggest drama that happened was before my time, right? Because the population base was higher, there were more people to get into fights with each other, that kind of thing, right? Exactly. Whereas from really in the 2010s, right, there's been a lower player base, so there are often long gaps without anything going on like this, right? Without any situations that come up that cause people to argue in this way.
It makes sense. It's kind of like a gift and a curse, you know?
Yeah. It's a mixed blessing.
Mixed blessing.
The other thing that I think about, so oftentimes when I recall a given piece of drama, I think about, okay, how could it have been handled better? And very often my answer boils down to, this could have been handled better if people remembered we're talking about a game, right? We're talking about a wiki for a game. It's not that serious. It's not life or death in that way. And I don't want that to make me sound dismissive. I don't want it to make me sound like, oh, none
It's
of it
kind
is
of like an
meaningful,
important,
right?
I don't know, you have to hold the bar somewhere. It's
It's,
kind of
it's the
like,
kind of thing where it should be acceptable to step out of the room, right? It should be acceptable to say, okay, this is pointless arguing. I'm going to ignore it, or I'm going to log off for a day, or whatever, right? A lot of the mechanisms for the operation of the administrative side of the wiki are designed to have user input as much as possible and to pay attention to that user input. So in reevaluations, the bureaucrats listen to what people write about the candidates and give it due credence and pay attention to it and make their decisions based off of it, right? And I one thing that I don't like is when people sort of portray the sysop team as being distant or impersonal, because really that's not what it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be responding to and operating within the community at large, and really the wiki community and then the game community are who should truly be holding the power and truly making decisions and making what they want known, right?
a lot of power comes with that, and I feel like you do a really good job with that power.
I try.
I think that's why
I
you got
try.
a lot of respect from myself and a lot of people in this community.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's cool, man. It's cool. I'm really glad we had this conversation and stuff. It's definitely enriched me and my perspective on the wiki and what you do. It's cool to put a voice to the character. It's cool to like get that extra like dimension on who you are as a person. And yeah, it just makes me want to help you out a lot more in your cause and what you're doing over there. And I hope that you know this episode has reached out to some other listeners. And it's not hard, guys. It's not hard. The wiki is. A lot of people are willing to help out and extend a hand and welcome. And
I try to be really approachable. I don't know how well I do, but if you ever have questions about the wiki or anything, like I'm always contactable at my talk page. I'm on Discord. I feel like I'm in about half of the UD related Discord servers out there. So if you ever if you or if any of the listeners ever want to talk about anything, like I'm around. I'm into it. Come talk to me.
All right, and with that, we are done. Good chat, sir.
Yes, thank you so much.
Hello again, Roftwood. This wraps up my discussion with Urban Dead's very own Bob Moncrief. This RCC Fireside Chat is a post-apocalyptic production proudly presented to you by the Roftwood Coordination Center. I'm Zombie GG in Roftwood. The pleasure's been mine.